if we could get everybody to have a seat and get this started. Get the last people signing in back there. Why don't I get us started with a prayer while we're kind of wrapping up. Dear Heavenly Father, be with us tonight as we discuss the business of St. Mark. Help us as we hopefully admit some new members, some new voting members. And just help us make the right decisions to keep your son in mind with everything we're trying to do. And just ask that you be with all the decisions tonight. In your son's name we pray. Amen. All right, so while we're getting the last couple people to come in, if we could take a look at the minutes, and then we can vote on accepting those minutes. Everybody should have picked those up as they came in. Back?
This is supposed to be 2022.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get out of here.
I'll get my own jokes. So we'll give another minute or two on those minutes. Does anybody need a little more time on the minutes? Well, can I get a motion on the minutes?
So moved.
A second? Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, say nay. All right, so the minutes pass. And Paula? Now we've got some new members to accept. So we've got Roger Roush, Mike Trinkline, Mary Schroeder, and Rose Ryan. So can we get a motion to accept the new members?
Motion to accept.
A second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the new members, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that's good. Welcome to membership. Yeah, I'm not supposed to rustle the papers. There's a fancy microphone up here, and I just rustled the papers. Sorry about that. So we're going to go a little over the attendance. We're just going to work our way down the agenda. And as it says, we're starting to get a little bit of the kinks worked out on our online, primarily on our online attendance. In-person attendance has continually been growing. We had the 10 o'clock service grew to about 120. And at that point, we decided it was time to start the 11 o'clock service again. And as it says, it's been averaging around little over 51, and probably going to continue to take a little bit more time for that one to, to continue growing. The 9:30 or the 9 o'clock service has been doing pretty well. I think there was 102 last Sunday, so that one's been doing pretty good. And 8 o'clock's been hanging right in there in the 40s or 45 or so. So overall, we've been averaging a little short of 280 a week, which is down. Again, we changed the way we did the calculation on the online numbers. And, so like the online is down 44 people, but the in-person is up almost 25. So that's a nice increase from 2021. So we are getting more and more people to come back into the building, which I think those of us that are here, I get a little more benefit out of it. Those of you that are watching at home that aren't coming, hopefully you'll find a way to get back in here again. In 2022, we had 30 new members. So that's pretty good. It's been a number of years since we've had that many new members all together, and we've had 8 baptisms. So those numbers are pretty strong. 30 new members is a fun thing to shoot for again next year. And as far as the budget goes, last year we passed a budget of $772,000, and we did have to make a cut to that in the middle of the year by about $24,000. The giving was off a little bit, so we cut it down to about $748,000. Giving has kind of picked up the last couple of months, and so all of a sudden we find ourselves after October and November being back pretty much flat. So that's a good thing. The actuals, as it says, are projected to be about $735,000, $736,000 for the year, and the proposed budget that we'll go over later is increasing that about 3.95% to $765,000, which again is still a little below what last year's budget was, but a little bit over what the actuals look like they're going to be for this year. And we'll go over some of those things a little more later. So the next thing we've got to do is we've got a couple of first-time elders that we are proposing to vote in. We've got Brandon Kurz and Chuck Ribby. John, do we want those guys to stand up so I think people know who they are, I'm not sure. So there's Chuck Ribby and Brandon Kurz. So we need to vote on these guys. These are who we're recommending to be the new elders, because we've got 2 people that their term is up. So can I get a motion to vote on the elders? A second? Okay, all in favor to accept Brandon Kurz and Chuck Ribby as 2 new elders, say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay. All right, congratulations. And Dwight Staup is going to be the Congregational president starting in January. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through here and I'm going to introduce different people, and they'll come up and talk a little bit about the ministry that they're working on. So first we're going to start with Mike Edge, who is going to talk about the website. And I see there's no questions. Is that working tonight? The question thing? Yeah? That is correct. That is correct, okay.
And I should also mention there is a microphone up here. All right, well, hey, good evening, everyone. So, if you have been on our website and you're saying to yourself, how do I find something? And then you can't easily find it. I have some good news for you, because starting at the end of January, we're going to be rolling out and launching a brand new website. That's right, let's give it up for a brand new website. Hey. Yeah, actually, the exciting thing is that for a while, things have just been a little bit clunky, difficult to find on our website, and so we said, especially by now adding our new online ministry and our streaming our services, is we said, you know what, we really just need to start from scratch. We need a redesign. And so what we did is we looked around at a few different church websites, and we said, wow, we really, really, really like some of these websites. And guess what? They're all made by the same company. So we contacted this company, and they took us on as a client, and I got to say that really And I've said this to many people, but it's so true that we are just so blessed to be able to partner with this agency. They've worked with some of the largest churches and nonprofits in our nation. And that's the thing, that they really specialize in nonprofits and churches. And so they get church, and so they get what we're trying to communicate. And they just have just done such an incredible and just a very, very wonderful job. And so they said, okay, well, to build your website, let's start with your branding. Let's start with your colors. What are your hex codes for your colors? To which we looked at each other and said, huh? Like, what are you talking about? And so then it became quickly obvious that, well, actually, not just a website, but a redesign of our branding, our visual identity, if you will. So our logo, our colors, and really just kind of asking the question, who is St. Mark, and how are we different than other churches? And those are big picture questions. And so tonight, I actually do have something very exciting. We've had several all-day meetings with them to come up with a new logo and a new website. And I've actually been working hard to keep it under wraps so that way it didn't leak. But tonight, since you guys have given up your Tuesday night, what do you think? Should we see the new logo? All right, here we go. All right, so here we go. Here it is. For the first time in forever, here is our new logo. What do you guys think? You all see that from there? Yeah. And if you guys can have really good vision, you'll be able to see that essentially we have an icon, and then we have the text, St. Mark Lutheran Church. At other places, it's also SMLC as such. And if you guys are observant, do you guys notice something in the icon? Yes, Mr. Krautstrunk.
Is that an S and an M?
There is an S and an M inside the icon. Wow, very observant over here. I know. It kind of looks like a mountain, almost as if we're by Shadow Mountain. Yeah. Yeah, no, it does not stand for Mike. So many mics is what the SM stands for. But as you guys can see here, these are also representing our colors. And so you're going to see this icon, and you're going to see these colors starting at the end of January plastered everywhere. So for all of our marketing, branding material, you guys are going to see this. So they just did an incredible job. And so they also created, the website is now in development, but just to kind of get us started on what it conceptually looks like, they used a design software. So this is not the final product, but I'll just show you a little bit of what it's going to look kind of like. So this is our homepage over here. And see, this is what I love about these guys. They heard who we are, and they came up with this tagline, teaching truth and transforming lives. And I just love that. I mean, they just did such a wonderful job. They have what's called a hero, which is the big image there on front. And then as you guys can see, that we also have the icons, those image cards move for giving and for finding a small group. And then I want to focus on this for just 1 second. So this right here is a resource. And so when you come to our website, it's not just about finding information, but also this is for a place that you're able to connect with God and find resources. And so this is really especially true if you have friends and you're inviting them to church and they're just kind of curious about God and they're just kind of curious about what we believe. That we actually have a PDF called "Does God Really Care About My Hurting?" And so we'll give that to you on our website. So that's one of the big things about the homepage that's there right there on the front homepage. And why is that significant? What do we use it for? Well, and so one of the really cool things about this too is that it is called a lead magnet. And so what this means is that to receive the PDF, that you put in your email address, and then we're going to send you an email with the PDF. So you're going to receive the resource, but then also you're going to receive some follow-up emails that's going to have a sermon that's related to that topic, and then a whole bunch of other resources that's related to that. And so what's really cool about that is that for anyone who's surfing our website and they just want to and they just want to learn more about this, that we're providing them with all those resources. Then also it gives us that ability to have that touch point, to have that contact with people who will otherwise never have. Because how many times do you go to a website and you simply view it, but then you leave? Now we actually have the ability to contact and to be able to follow up. Does that suffice? Yeah, there we go. And thank you for a question. By the way, there, I should mention, we do take questions on the online and also on the microphone up here. So just kind of just showing you a little bit about what they do. There's an image of my 3, almost 4-year-old up there. And as you can tell by the way, when we did, whenever they did this, that it was back in October. You guys can tell that, right? But they will have our current events up there that you can see. And so those scroll through, as you can see. And just kind of fly through a little bit more. Here is at the bottom of the page. So for the people who say, I'm just kind of want to get my feet wet to learn a little bit about God, here's the Does God Care About My Hurting resource. But there are many people who are surf our site and say, you know what, I want to stay connected, in which case we have the newsletter sign up right there. So we have on the home page 2 places to be able to connect with us. And then if we go here to our church online to have our services, we're going to be using a platform called Church Online. And so this right here is from Church Online's homepage. So you can tell that does not look like Pastor Mike or myself. But just to give you an idea of what it looks like, that as you're viewing the service, and so they really stress the live portion of it, that as it's live, that we're able to have chat. And so we're able to have that interactive feature that then creates an online community. So rather than passively watch a service, there is a very very native, very easy way to be able to have that chat. Also during the chat, people can ask questions, and then also we'll have, or they can comment, but then also there's your sermon notes right there. There's buttons to give, and so really just everything that you want is just laid out right there at your fingertips, and you can see also what it looks like on the mobile device. And so for me, this is definitely one of the biggest upgrades from our current site, because our current site simply has YouTube linked on it, which is fine, but also that now we're able to really create so much more of that interactivity, if you will, with Church Online. And then also we have, so going back to our page here, yeah, you can see the 7 deadly sins. They made this in October. But also we have, some nice photos here. And then once again, those image cards, connect with us, ways to give, and all that. So, I think I might have already showed that. Okay, yeah. So then also the sermon page is going to be another really exciting thing. And so we're using a plugin that you're able to search by topics. And so if you want to, type in stress, or you want to type in Christmas, or whatever the thing may be, you have that search feature. And as just a way of just kind of showing it without anything current, as you can tell, there's a whole bunch of me preaching all on the same day. So it's a really long day. And I'm preaching all on the 7 deadly sins. But it's just kind of visually, you can kind of see what it looks like. But certainly it has that feature where you can search, and you can, just the navigation on it is just really, really, really good. And so we are going to use it as a resource as well. So we're going to go back, really our goal is to go back 5 years. Just always kind of have that as a resource library for yourself and for your friends. And just to kind of once again show you a little bit. So here's, we can't go through every page, but just to show you a couple, here's like the children's page, for example. Again, they just did such a great job. You guys see where that visual identity, where that branding really comes in play with the colors, but then also the mountain. And they created the little sun and the clouds, and it's just so friendly. And then we've got the boxes. I mean, again, just visually, everything is just very aesthetically pleasing. The navigation is easy and intuitive. Same sort of thing for the preschool. In fact, the preschool, I'll go back for 1 second. They took our current logo and they redesigned it, the preschool logo. And so you can kind of see that it has the blocks, but then also has the SMLC with the mountain and the colors. And so that way there's continuity between the visual identity between the church and the preschool. And then as well, there's a welcome video right here, or a tour video, I should say. And with the tour video, that you'll be able to click on that, and it's got Kathy talking about the preschool, inviting them to take a tour, and then just really kind of broadcasting in a video format what our preschool is about. And let's see here. So then we come down to, yeah, so just here's the bottom of the preschool page. Again, just you can see with the blocks, everything just looks really clean. So staff page, okay, so this is really interesting because our staff photos are slightly out of date. Would you agree? It's like, who is that guy? Who is that guy? I will also say that the staff page, this is kind of interesting because I've heard this, that for churches, the staff page is one that's often overlooked, but it's the one that's most viewed by people who are checking out a church. And so we're doing something really exciting for our staff page. So first of all, they're all going to be up-to-date photos, so not these photos. But also that whenever you see the page, that we're going to be in business casual attire and smiling professional. And then as you hover your cursor over the image, it actually transforms to them showcasing a hobby of theirs. And so, for example, Kathy had a life vest on and like a canoe and a paddle. I mean, it was just really kind of fun to watch. And so you guys will get a chance to look at that at the end of January, which will be fun. And then also, let's see, what page is this right here? Oh, this is the About Us. So this is kind of cool. Did I go by it? Yeah, so as you click on, so I don't know if you guys saw that, but so for the beliefs, they're just listed, and then whenever you click on it, it expands out. I think they call it an accordion style. And so what's really neat about that is just that, once again, everything's really clean, organized, but you can find all the information there. Under the About Us, that was our beliefs section right there. And then, what else? Oh yeah, then giving, so this is one of their pages that they had. Just highlighting all the different ways to give, including the creative ways with the Thrivent and with Amazon Smile. And so, there you go. You guys tonight got a first-hand look. Will it work on your phone? Yes, it will. So one of the things that this agency does very well is that they're very conscious that people are going to be using their phones, and so they have a whole separate layout, and they keep looking back and forth between the desktop and the mobile, just to make sure that everything's clean and organized in the same way. Yes, Mr. Krautstrunk.
So the live will be on the website or on YouTube or both?
So we'll still be using YouTube, but it'll be embedded in that online platform. And so that's a great question. So if you're at home, what's really nice about this is that you can just pop right on the YouTube app, and that all is still going to stay the same. But if you wanted to, you could, from your phone or a desktop, be able to use the online platform, which then allows for that connectivity. Yeah, good question. Any other questions?
Yeah, what do you do with your spare time, Mark?
Well, I'm not the one who built this website. I mean, that's why we hired the agency. Yeah. Yeah. That's right, yeah, with all the kids. Oh my. What other questions do you guys have, either website or otherwise related? All right, well, January 24th is the launch date, so create an alert on your calendar, and we'll be rolling that out. That's on a Tuesday. Yes, Mr. Krautstruck.
So the website name's not going to change, it'll just be redirected to the...
Correct. Yeah, it's still going to be stmarkphx.org, so it'll still have that same URL. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very good. Yes, Mimi.
Who staffs or monitors the chat when the sermon is going on?
That is a great question. So that is one that I'm recruiting for. And so if you know of anyone who would be interested in this, because you're right, that does require manpower. In fact, we were donated a computer that I think would be perfect for this to have upstairs. I guess it could be really anywhere in the building. In fact, it doesn't even have to be here. There are some churches that have people who are church at home people, and they just empower them to be, in leadership in that capacity. So that could absolutely be a thing. But yeah, so it would be a volunteer position where we'd have someone, moderating that. And there is a way to moderate it, in the sense that it has to be cleared through the moderator before it goes on the chat. So that way there can't be anything profane or of that nature. But yeah, great question. Yes, Mr. Horner.
What was the question you just very elaborately answered for the people online who didn't hear the question?
So, you know what, I'm so glad you mentioned that. The question was, who moderates the chat? during the church online? Yeah, that is the question. And the answer is somebody. We will have somebody. Yeah, that's right. All right. Yes, Ms. Nelson.
Are you gonna have a roll-up party?
A rollout party. We are now. Yeah. At your place. Sounds good. Bring your friends. Yeah, that sounds great. No, we are going to be rolling it out throughout the month of January, and so get excited around that. Otherwise, now I'm going to turn it back to Scott Horner. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. All right, so now we are going to bring up Walt Atwood, who is going to talk about the building and everything that goes with the building.
Welcome, everyone. I'm going to start with something that's not on your agenda, dealing with the updates, and that's the parking lot. It's almost been there long enough to make you think it's always been there, but really it's recent, and they did a good job on it. You will also see that on the dirt parking lot, we put in some millings and put in some curb stops and some markings, so that whole area has been upgraded and approved. One thing you don't see, you may have seen pictures of it that was going on, but before we actually put the parking lot in, we buried the conduit for the electrical system, and we buried the conduit for the Wi-Fi connection to the modulars. So that all got done in good timing, and that's all done behind us. So we're thankful for that. Excuse me. The electrical panel is still hanging in the air. And if any of you deal with APS, I don't have to say anything else. For some reason or other, they haven't come around to take care of what has to be done there, and it's no more than just tying in the transformers down the pole into the conduit. I don't have anything else to say except we're waiting to see when that's actually going to happen. 31st Street, we signed the contracts, two of them. One for the actual water line construction, and the other for this off-site area out here where they're using it to stage all the equipment and materials they're going to need for the water line and the rest of it. So that's been done. The pipe is in place. We anticipate that they will start, the city will start sometime in January. So that's moving on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the question has been January of what year?
Well, we use the same scenario for some other things, you know, it's a spring, summer, fall, or next year. But January 2023 is when they think they're gonna get this kicked off. And it makes a lot of sense. They want to get 32nd Street done, both because it's there and Super Bowl coming in, and then they can concentrate on this backside. The preschool has been able to acquire some funds so we can replace the doors and windows and a new gate locking system. That's in process. We're waiting for the contractors to come in. Cassie checked with them last week, and it's pending, but it's online, on time, and in play. That's basically all I got for facilities, unless somebody has a question. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Walt. So now we would like to bring up Pastor Tim to talk about the Red Letter Challenge.
Thank you, everyone. Real quick before we do that, I just want to share a couple of things. Just a big thank you to everyone this year for everything that you've done. If you look at the things that we've done this past year, we've had a lot of new family events that we've done, and I know Rendy and others have asked you, many of you, about doing Thrivent action teams. And if you've ever thought, hey, how much does this help? How much is this, really affecting anything when I take my time and fill out these action team things that I've got to fill out? Looking at the spreadsheet that Randy puts together, we have filled out, well, first of all, as a staff a little over a year ago, we were sitting in our staff meeting talking, and we were like, hey, what if we used action teams a little more than we are? And we were sitting there thinking, and I remember the conversation went, I think maybe like 10 people here at the church have Thrive In and might have an action team. Apparently, when Randy and our leadership went and looked into it, we found that we have 25 people who have Thrive In action teams available. Or who have Thrive In accounts that we can use. And so we've got 48 available cards. This year it looks like we used 28 of those cards. And so we have brought in and used $7,000 in Thrive In action team money that didn't come out of our budget to do the ministry we're doing here. $7,000. So like I said, when Randy talks to you about an action team, when you fill out an action team, when you do all of that, $7,000, and that's not even using all of them. It looks like from the notes that Randy has, we still have 20 available that we haven't used yet. So $7,000, that's pretty amazing. And if you look at the budget for the family ministry community events, not just family ministry, but that's where we've been taking some of our money out of when we've needed it. We only got $2,400 budgeted. So that's twice the amount that our family events would be able to do. So we'd have to do half the events if we didn't have that $7,000. Now, not all of that's going to family events. Care ministries using it, Nitwits, Christian Care, other ministries are using that money as well. But $7,000 is nothing to sneeze at. So again, I just wanted to share with you guys as you think about what we're doing. And also, I want to share just a big thanks to Medj and Pastor Mike and Randy and all of our staff that we've gotten, Paula and everyone who is here. This church does amazing things on a small budget. When I looked at our budget, it kind of surprised me because my budget in Houston is 4 times the size of our church's budget. And I wished in Houston we were doing the things we're doing here. Like, we are blessed to have Randy and Medj and Pastor Mike and Paula and Trink. We've got some amazing staff who are doing some amazing things and not spending a lot of money to do it. So that is pretty cool. Like, when I just looked at these budget numbers, I was like, oh my gosh, our budget is a lot smaller than I thought it was. That being said, I just wanted to share, so we've had some fun times doing events this year. And then also the last thing I'll share, you mentioned the 30 new members. So I used to be a full-time pastor in Houston, and part of my job was assimilating new members and bringing in new members. We also had a carrot that we offered to our new members because we had a school, and those new members who joined our church got a tuition discount of 50% for the school. I don't think we ever had 30 new members in a church that worshiped 400 every Sunday. 30 new members. Again, $7,000, 30 new members. These are big numbers. These are really big numbers. And we ain't paying those new members to come to church and become new members the way we were in Houston. So that says a lot. I mean, I was bribing my people to become new members. So these people want to join this church for the good of their because they want to be a part of the church. Randy.
So since you're talking numbers, because of those Thrive-In grants that we did, several of them benefited the youth through our bake-off, our the Easter breakfast, and the shredding event. Over $3,000 was raised for the youth using those Thrive-In grants and promoting it.
There you go. So, I mean, that's awesome. That is fantastic. All right, so Red Letter Challenge, just wanted to share, starting up in January 29th, you'll see this promoted throughout the month of January. The sermon series and small group series that we'll be doing is called the Red Letter Challenge. It's a book written by Zach Zender. He is a LCMS pastor and church planter in Florida, and now I don't know, maybe he's full-time writing these books because he's got like 4 more that he's written. But anyway, so this book came out about 5 years ago, and it basically says what would happen. Let's come up with a crazy idea. What would happen if we actually did what the red letters in our Bible talk about doing? I know, it's a bonkers idea, but what if we did what Jesus told us to do? And so that's the premise. And so really, it's a 40-day devotional book. This is a 40-day devotional. It's got about a 1 or 2 page devotion for each day. It's got a challenge that we want to do each day. And then we get together in our small groups at the end of the week, and in our small groups, we discuss how the week went. We discuss the challenge. We discuss the things that challenged us. We discuss the things we maybe learned, the things maybe we knew already, and we can encourage others in. We hear the sermons about it on Sunday morning. And so the whole church will be getting together and doing these small groups and doing this sermon together. And it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited. I always love doing church-wide small group campaigns. And so we're going to have a lot of fun. You'll see more information about it in the bulletin. We'll have the flyers and the sign-up sheets out in January for small groups. If you're already in one, talk to your small group leaders about it. If you're not in a small group, you can talk to me anytime right now about more information, or you can sign up when the sign-up sheets go out in January, and we go live with it in January. And then, like I said, it's a 40-day campaign, so it's going to start the 29th of January. It's going to go through the whole month of February and start into March, right after Ash Wednesday, and then we'll finish up in March. And so it's going to be an awesome opportunity to dig into the words of Jesus together as a church. Any questions? Awesome. Well, I will let you guys go and keep doing all the good work.
Thanks, Pastor Tim. So now we're going to bring Paula up to talk about missions.
Well, good evening, everyone. And I'm actually going to have the exciting opportunity to talk to you a little bit more than missions. I wanted to bring admin in a little bit, Christian care, and then missions. Some of you have asked me, how is the office going? Well, I wanted to let you know that between really me and Rendy for the day-and-day things, I think she would agree that we're actually doing pretty well. We got 3 ladies that come in every week. They're dedicated to doing their part of the job, and they're here every week. And we've got, I know of 2 gentlemen that's with finances. I think I've got everybody. So thank you so much for your patience, your understanding, and Randy and I will really do the best that we can do to help you out. So the next thing is Christian care. I don't think I've ever seen as many volunteers as we have. We have 12. We have 12 volunteers that's their mission in life is for our shut-ins. And and they're so dedicated, and communion, and if somebody wants to talk, or just whatever it is. We've got 19 actual shut-ins. We did have quite a few more, but just things that happen. But I really want to thank the 19 for their dedication, because they go out once a month, and some of them even go out more than that. So we're so blessed to have them. The other thing I want to talk about, missions, Feed My Starving Children. If you don't know, in 3 sessions in 2022, they put together 63 boxes with 37 volunteers. That was 13,608 meals. I think that's just awesome. The chair people for that is Mike and Connie Goers. Guys, you're doing a great job. I know. And I know that they try to do it maybe once a quarter. Well, we're going to be talking to you and see how much more you want to do it, because this is just awesome. And then our next thing is powwow. Well, I think everyone knows Brandon, and Brandon it's just like, he does an amazing job. So some of his statistics are, over the course of a year, 80,000 pounds of produce 1,500 orders, serviced by 160 volunteers. Can you guys wrap your hands around that? I mean, that's just awesome. So, Brandon, keep that up. And then we want to go to Harvest Compassion. Harvest Compassion had the shaving cream drive last April, and they brought in 400 rolls of toilet paper, 60 cans of shaving cream. So we have these periodically of different things that I think diapers one time, I'm just kind of the last thing that we did. And they always welcome donations, and if you want to know how you can donate, the chairperson is Cheryl Joseph, and if you don't know how to get a hold of her, I'll certainly help you with that. Then the next thing I wanted to go to was the PV Food Bank. That's non-perishable food, and throughout the year, collecting 1,100 pounds of food and personal items. There again, isn't that awesome? I mean, the things I keep telling you, it just gets better and better. Well, not better and better because it's already good for the first ones, and that chairperson is Cynthia Fetty, so we're so happy that she took that over. And number 5 was the blood drive. Get this. Okay, we 16 people with 19 people donating at one pint for a total of 19 pints, which saved 57 lives. So I think we're going to be doing more blood drives because and that chairperson is Deanne Hildebrandt. So if you want to help in that ministry. And then for Christmas, this time for the cops and kids, that was the Phoenix police officers and helping out the local disadvantaged children. And so we did get $600. So with that $600, they'll be able to take 3 children out, and they get to spend $200 per child. So this is their first year for doing it. For a first year, that was pretty good. Yeah. And then, so we got the Nitwits. Well, this is like 15 ladies, and what they do is we have the yarn donated, and then we do the hats, and we do it for Paradise Valley, or not Paradise, well, anyhow, the hospital. I was trying to think of the hospital because it's not on. Honor Health, yes. And also with our missions trip, which I'll talk to you a little bit about that, we got to take these hats down to Mexico, and of course the people were, and it's not just the baby hats, it was also hats that our group did, and they were so appreciative to get those warm hats. And that chairperson is Dottie Hoffman. We would love to have you guys, even men, you can knit, we'll show you how. And then the next one is Tabitha, and Tabitha has made 50 large quilts this year, 8 pillowcases for Arizona Helping Hands. Also, we took quilts down to the new family. So they did a pretty good size one for the mom, and then for the 2 children, they did like a bed size. So we got to take those down with us. And that chairperson is Janice Chesbo. So I saved the best for last because I just got back, and I can't tell you the experience that I had. And I think the people that went with us, there was myself and 4 other people, they would all agree. We had, I see 2 of them in here. They would agree that we just had a fantastic time, plus worked, and plus these people, they didn't feel entitled. They got right in there. Well, you wasn't with me on the one, but they got right in there and they helped, and also they have to have their own land before you build a house on it. When I say a house, it's a shell. It's your foundation, your cement floors, your walls, and your roof. So it's not what I really call a house, but they're so appreciative. They can't believe that they're actually going to have a structure that they're going to be staying in. I was going to say, I think Dave, he was up there on the roof. He was doing a lot of roof stuff. And I know he's a little bit over 30, but just to see him, the hard work that he was doing. And then Mary was another one. She's here. And she just pitched in whatever needed to be done. She did it. I was on door detail. Well, I tell you, nothing went right. Nothing. So I don't know if it was my problem or what. But anyhow, Jeff Grand Prix, which is Kathy's husband, he was the one that was, that we went down. It was Light of the Desert Church. So we piggybacked on them. They had 19 volunteers. So with our 5, we had 24 going down there. So Jeff asked me if I wanted to see how they started the house. And that is with your footing and then your foundation. Well, it was kind of an eye-opener. He showed me some different tools in that. Did you know that there's a laser tool that actually, when you want something straight or if you want to make your corners, you know, that makes your job a little bit easier. So he was showing me how to use that. And believe it or not, the other lady that was my age, she showed me how to lift cinder blocks so it wouldn't hurt me, and that we could, and then I helped her do that. So there's a trick to it, because I actually was moving cinder blocks, if you can picture that. So St. Mark, I can't believe the different stuff, you know, that is offered. If you feel that you want to get into a mission, come and talk to me, because there is something that fits everyone, you know, something that you could do. And it's so much fun, you know, and to think that we're actually enriching someone's lives. So, any questions here?
Yes, I have some. Are you already getting paid for your time that you serve at the church?
Well, not with money, but certainly with joy and fulfillment and love from all you guys.
So that money, it's been, because there used to be a full-time person working that position. No, part-time person. Okay.
Yeah, she was never full-time. Yeah. So, thank you so much.
Thanks, Paula. So Rendy, do you want to? Okay, so now we'll have Rendy come up.
Oops. Okay, I'm not allowed to shuffle papers. So I was going to talk about the Thrivent Financial and the family events, but Pastor Tim did a fabulous job. So instead, that's okay. So instead, I'm going to remind you that for the family events, we have a member of our congregation who graciously does this printing for us, and we give these invites the week before an event. And it's not because we want necessarily for you to know about the event. We do want you to know about the event, but we want you to invite people. So you get one of these in your bulletin. You also should be getting one mailed to you. So these events are great to invite people to come. And that's one of the ways that we're going to help grow and get more members. The other thing I want to bring up is giving. You can pick up one of these guides and learn how to attach your Amazon account to Amazon Smile. We did a little promotion on that at our last family event. And that is when every time you shop at Amazon on orders that are eligible, a portion of it goes back to St. Mark. It's easy. You can set up your account automatically to go to Smile, and it calculates and then sends us a check. We also have an endowment fund. I don't know if all of you know about that, but John Joseph can direct you to the representative that does our endowment fund, which would be a great way to serve God and this congregation after you have passed away. And we also have stock that you can donate towards the ministries here, and that sometimes can offer a tax break. So you can talk to Paula or Scott Horner about more information on that. And finally, I would like to mention that we have Christmas Eve and Christmas services coming up, and we need volunteers. So if you would by chance like to volunteer on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I would love for you to contact me, because we need volunteers for those items. So thank you, thank you, thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Rendy. And so before I ask Mike Trinkline to come up, so Kathy Grand Prix is apparently home sick. So we'll go over a little bit of the preschool stuff later, but she's doing a great job. She continues to get grants that continues to help pay for the staff and you know, I mean, we could always use a few more kids, but who couldn't always use a few more kids? But she's doing a great job going out there and finding these DES grants. Well, yeah, okay, not everybody needs them. So maybe I didn't word that correctly. So, but she does a great job. She goes out there and finds these DES grants, and the money comes into the preschool. So, and that's how she's been able to do some of these things that Walt mentioned, you know, with some doors and some different things that she's working on. So, so next I'd like to introduce Mike Trinkline. If you'd come up and, I guess, let everybody know who you are.
You guys are awesome. I love this church. Like, back when I first started coming here, like earlier this summer, I guess, I was struck by the community and the love that I felt from this congregation. And even back then, I was blown away by what you guys were doing and like the impact that you were having. And I'm still blown away by it. And I'm just really, really honored to be a part of the team here. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Mike Trinkline. We're calling me Trink to, you know, differentiate from all the other Mikes here. But so I was hired as the director of life development and the director of traditional worship. So who knows what that means? I don't even know what that means yet. But I'm starting to figure out what it means slowly. I've been working here for about a month and a half now. And so I'm technically in charge of youth ministry, but I'm very new to this position. So graciously, Pastor Mike and Mike Edge have allowed me to kind of ease into it. I'll be taking over, hopefully, some of Mike Edge's stuff so that he can have a life again, you know. So far, I've really wanted to connect the preschool and the church a little bit more. Like that's someplace where I see that there's room for growth, there's room for a little bit more of unification. So one of the things that I'm hoping to do and trying to do is the Christmas pageant that we're doing this year. And I'm having the Sunday school kids be a part of it as well as the preschool kids. And hopefully having a way for the preschool families and the church families to get to know each other and to get talking, and hopefully have some of the preschool families start coming to church. Who knows? You know, it'll be up to God, but that's kind of my strategy, sneaky strategy. The other thing that I'm in charge of is traditional worship. So I'm the son of a Lutheran pastor, and growing up in the church, I have a passion for traditional worship. And that when I first started coming here, I would always go to the traditional services, and Pastor Mike was always like, "Why is there a young kid, you know, coming to the traditional services? That's odd." But so I'm excited to bring whatever I can to that service, and I play music. I play organ and piano and cello, and so I'm hoping to be able to incorporate that a little bit into the service, but also just try to encourage more people to come because I like traditional worship, so, you know, it's possible. That's pretty much all. I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm really happy to be here, and yes?
Where did you come from?
So as I was thinking what I was going to tell you guys, I was going to go into my background. It's a long, long story, but I grew up in the Midwest in a very small farming town. And then when I was in high school, my family picked up and moved to South Korea as missionaries. So we lived there for about 4 years, and then from there we came to Phoenix when my mom got sick and we were treating her, and then I started coming here. So yeah, Midwest, I would say, is my home, but actually my heart is in South Korea. I want to end up there as a missionary at some point, like full-time missionary, because I really enjoyed my time there. So yes. Where in the Midwest? Southern Illinois, like 45 minutes east of St. Louis. So yeah, any other questions? Yes, I am working full-time here. So, yeah, I wanted to say that I've gotten to know some of you pretty well, but I want to get to know more of you really well. So if you guys are interested in like getting together and having lunch sometime to get to know me, that would be really awesome. So please feel free to like shoot me an email. My email is mtrinkline@stmarkphx.org. So I would love to get to know as many of you as possible because I really like the congregation here, and yeah, it's an honor to be here, and I love you guys.
Thanks, Trink. All right, so now we will have Pastor Mike come up and talk about the budgets.
So there's been a lot of good a lot of good that's come out of this last year in the midst of some struggle post-COVID. There's churches all across the country that are struggling coming out of it. They've lost members, they've lost staff. There's not very easy ways of replacing staff today. There's seminaries that are putting out 20 guys a year. Some of the colleges that put out DCEs and worship directors and DCOs combined, Irvine put out 20-something people this year. So there's a lot of churches that are struggling. Christ Church actually just cut their high school youth program because they can't find somebody. There's big churches, just heard another one in Colorado, can't find a pastor to come to their church because there's an uneasiness about moving today, and there's just, again, they're not putting out enough guys right now. So our church is really, as you listen to all the different things that have happened, or that the guys have shared today, is really in a very fortunate and very exciting place. I mean, we've watched God bring us new members. It's not, Scott was saying, bringing back people. No, I mean, they're still online, but he's brought us new members into this church, and new lifeblood, and new energy into this church, and it's fun. He's increased our in-person attendance in powerful ways, and that's had a huge effect on the budget. But coming out of COVID, we lost a ton of people online. This is the year that we felt that. And with that, a lot of the dollars that went with it. And so we passed a 772 budget last year, and we were trending under 700,000 for a period of time. The last part of this year has been very good, and we were able to up it to 735 or whatever that is. I put it down on the sheet. So given that, I always base the new budget on actuals. So we're looking at a 3.95% increase over the actuals to get to the 765 number this year. So that means we've cut a little bit. There's also been a huge amount of increase in our administrative costs due to inflation. That's another challenge for the church right now. But we fit everything in. So we fit Trinkline in, we fit everybody else in. The one thing that we were unable to fit in is an administrative director. We were paying Kristen $24,000, $25,000 a year, so God bless her. A lot of that was like volunteer for what she did for those dollars, but a lot of that money went to administration and other increases in costs this year. Our hope is, as this next year rolls out, and if God continues to bless as he has this year, that we'll be able to add numbers to the budget and be able to replace that position soon. In the meantime, Paul is right. Her and Rennie have been cranking it. We've experienced very little loss in terms of the day-to-day operations of the church. We've lost some availability on Mondays and Fridays as we don't have people in there, but Kathy's here and Mike and I from time to time are as well. And so there are abilities to meet with people during that time, but there is a little bit of a change up. So as you look at this budget, it's mainly emphasizing administrative costs, but we were able to increase a little bit of the worship materials and equipment just because of inflation, and we blew through that budget this year and needed to increase that. New member supplies we increased because of all the new members God is bringing us this year. All the rest between those two have remaining the same. As you look to the community and outreach pieces, we did have to get rid of the outreach budget and also the social media software. We decided to take a year off that as well. Just as we were trying to find dollars to stream down the budget. The resources, we were able to increase a little bit, but that's again because of actual costs and just increases in price. And that goes toward things like portals of prayer and some of the other things that we give to the congregation. As you look to administration, most of these areas we've got up to speed. You see that there's a lot of green in those sections. Again, just increased to match the new costs that are coming in. So if you look at the total, it's an increase of about $17,000 in administration, which is a pretty aggressive increase for our church. We haven't really had to do that in the past. We were able to decrease a couple of areas, telephone and copier maintenance, and that's because of the diligence of Brad Spellman in getting us an awesome new quote on that, and so that's one of the reasons we were able to reduce that. We're still not meeting areas of office supplies, of water, of alarm contractor, and also air conditioner maintenance, at least not what we spent this year, and so those are still items of need, and so again, as God increases the numbers, we can put more money into some of these administrative costs. Some of those are, we've increased a little bit, and so we're kind of hedging our bets, hoping it won't be the same kind of thing this year. We replaced 2 or 3 air conditioners this last year, so that's one of the reasons we blew through that account. As you move on to missions, we did get it back to tithing, and so that was an exciting thing for us this year because of God's promise that he blesses those that put him first. And so I would look at that as something that's a pretty cool thing about our church, that we just trust God and trust that he's going to provide as we go forward. And then you look down to the leadership, and you'll see that it's at least the percentage is reduced a little bit, and so is the salary compensation over the years. A lot of those costs went kind of up and down depending on the Mike Trink line and his cost to this. It's a pretty simple budget. We weren't able to mess a whole lot with it, except our increased administrative costs and get in the administrative pieces with Mike Trinkline in there. There is no money actually reserved for a campus administrator at this time. However, the salary compensation does include Pastor Tim's salary, which is part-time as well, but that's also in there as well. So we tried to do as much as we could for what we have, and we think this is a realistic budget moving into this year. It's not overly aggressive, but it's as aggressive as we needed it to be at this time. Are there any questions? Scott Horner will go into some of the leadership compensation pieces in a little bit, but if it's not about compensation or in terms of raises, if it's actually it could be about compensation, just not about raises, you can ask me the question right now and I can give you the answers. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Okay, so at this time then, I'm going to turn you over to Scott Horner, and he'll kind of wrap up the rest of this discussion on compensation and the raises for the staff. And, all right. And in lieu of that, I'm also going to talk about the preschool budget, which if I could borrow that for a second, Dale. This is kind of a complicated thing in some ways. As you look at the financials and stuff for this year, you'll see that our 11-month average for 2023 is, or for 2022 is 11,600. You'll see that the average actual expense for the preschool was $14,295, which is a deficit. You also see that this is a proposed budget of about $17,606 a month over an 11-month period of time because we closed in July. So the way you get to the 17,606 from their income of 11,605 is that Kathy got a grant for $7,000 a month. So she gets a grant every month for $7,000 from DES, and that goes to cover this plus $1,000 in the budget that she's proposing. She also got a second grant for, I think, $6,500 a month, which we're putting in a savings account, and we're going to be using that as needed moving forward, or we'll be using it to, she used part of that this year to do, well, we haven't done it yet, but to pay for replacing the doors and the windows to make them more secure in the preschool, kind of more and more like the fellowship hall doors. She's also putting a locking system on the gate so that she can kind of lock the gate and buzz people in for improved security. So there's different things that she's been able to do with that money in addition to covering her budget, which is really great. And the reason that DES has given so much of this dollars away is she was at a meeting, a DES meeting with a bunch of the preschool directors in our community, and Kathy says she was just blown away. She goes, I felt really good about how things were going here after that meeting. There's just tons of preschools that are barely hanging on, that can't meet bills, that are thinking about closing, and DES wanted to rush in and try to help some of these, just get them along until the kids started coming back, and they just haven't been, like looking for employees, they just haven't come back yet in a lot of different places. And so these are stopgap decisions by DES to try to provide enough for preschools to keep going. the thing that this allows us to do, this budget that Kathy's produced for us, is allows us to have a fully staffed preschool for probably the first time in a long time. That's what the grant has allowed. And so it's allowed Kathy to be director and not be in the classes with everybody else and being dead tired and then trying to do the administrative stuff after that. And so this is a really huge gain that she's done. And that's one of the reasons Scott says she's doing a great job. I mean, it's just, since she's been here, we haven't had to worry about preschool not making ends meet. She's been creative in all sorts of different ways, and the quality of the program has gone up. And so we're very optimistic as we look forward. And so even though the kid rate is a little bit low right now, she keeps increasing a little bit every year. And so we're hoping that as people start coming back, that will pay dividends. Any questions on the preschool or general fund budget? Yeah, Mercedes.
Salaries, does this include her salary?
This does include her salary and, yeah,
And all her staff?
and all her stuff.
So the staff is now being offered health insurance and retirement funds?
She is being offered health insurance as the director.
Only for her?
Yeah, just the health part is only for her. The rest of it is between everybody else.
And the budget, are you answering questions about?
Sure, yeah. What you got?
Okay, so I have a question. It says subtotal 478 for 2022, and then subtotal for 2023, 453. But then it says total budget 772 and 765. So where did the 294 and 312?
Go down?
Why it goes up? I'm trying to do the math and I'm trying to figure out.
Which one goes up?
The subtotal is one number and then the total budget is a different number.
So the total budget encompasses that 453, and if you go up the 82,550, all the subtotals on the budget. It includes the 189, 389. As you go to the front page, right, it's adding all those subtotals together to come up with the total budget.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's just one of the subtotals. It just shows in in leadership what happened this year. It kind of gives a little bit more of a breakdown, which is why we do it that way. All right, going once, going twice. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to turn you over to Scott and ask the staff at this point to leave. Thanks.